search and rescue personnel are at the helm of the strange, unexplained, and a lot of times supernatural. As you're going to see in today's episode, they often encounter things that aren't exactly normal. Without further ado, let's begin. Secrets of the Woods. In February 2024, I began my journey as a search and rescue volunteer in Houston, Texas. One night, our crew got a call to help find a lost hiker who had strayed from the path in Sam Houston National Forest. We collected our equipment and divided into teams to maximize our efficiency in covering a larger area. Jared and I ventured into the thick forest in the northwest direction. After a few hours of walking and shouting for the missing hiker, I had this eerie sensation that someone had their eyes on me. Jared seemed to have a feeling about it as he continued to scan the dark tree line. A quick movement in the plants about 100 yards to our left. I came to a sudden halt, straining my eyes to discern its form. I got a shiver down my back when I saw this really tall and skinny person appear, all covered up in some kind of cloak or robe. The object remained completely motionless, appearing to gaze directly at us. I tried to speak, but my voice got stuck in my parched throat. Jared firmly gripped my shoulder, indicating that he had also noticed what I had seen. The mysterious figure tilted its head slightly, and just like that, in the blink of an eye, it vanished into the trees without a trace. What on earth was that thing? Ignoring Jared's objections, I veered off the trail to investigate the exact location where it had materialized. I knelt down and gently ran my hands over the soft soil and the scattered leaves. Just your typical, everyday stuff. There are no footprints, no indentations, not even a crushed fern. The shrouded figure seemed to appear out of nowhere. Suddenly, my radio burst into sound. They had located the lost hiker, who was shaken but thankfully unharmed, on the opposite end of the forest. As we gathered with the rest of the team, I made eye contact with Jared. His face showed that he was just as puzzled as I was about what we saw that evening. One evening, our crew was sent out to find a hiker who had been reported missing in the dense woods near Portland. We quickly prepared ourselves with thermals, night vision, and heavy-duty lamps as soon as the call came in around 10 p.m. Without wasting any time, we spread out into the dark night. My partner Jordan and I decided to take the trail up north. As we walked, our flashlight beams sliced through the darkness. We had been hiking for nearly an hour when Jordan suddenly became alert beside me, ears perked up. That's when I also heard it, a faint, eerie wailing carried on the cool night wind. The sound floated among the trees, eerie and unexplained. We stood there, completely still, shining our lights ahead until they illuminated something, hiding in the twisted branches of an old fir tree. Initially, I thought it was just a result of the dark lighting and my own uneasy feelings, but as the creature gradually turned what I can only describe as its head, I felt my breath catch in my lungs. The creature had a somewhat human-like appearance, but its body was unusually elongated and thin, with proportions that seemed completely off. Jordan's grip tightened on my arm as we both couldn't look away from its unwavering gaze. The figure emerged from the branches. In a horrifying moment, it rapidly descended towards us, its limbs flailing like the writhing tentacles of a long-forgotten sea creature. The impact never arrived. It sharply veered and shot through the trees. All night long, we could hear those eerie cries reverberating through the woods, sounding like the tormented voices of souls trapped in eternal suffering. We never managed to locate the hiker who went missing, or any other potential threats that might have been lurking in the shadows. During another operation, deep in the Pisgah National Forest, A few of us were searching the terrain for any indications of a trail runner who had gone missing. As we reached the top of a densely forested hill, Jake, a former Marine and experienced outdoorsman, suddenly stopped next to a huge, ancient spruce tree. His complexion had turned pale. "Did you see that?" he whispered, pointing with a trembling hand. Up in the highest branches of the tree, there it was, a human figure, twisted and gnarled. The shape of it was eerily stretched and distorted, marked by an excessive number of twisted joints and appendages. With my heart racing, I directed my light upwards. A bright light revealed a mess of debris covered in torn cloth, and what appeared to be dirty, oily strands of hair. As I looked up, the figure appeared to shake, its thin limbs curling up like a bug's legs. We were completely still, our flashlights fixed on the twisting figure, ready with our weapons. After what seemed like forever, it suddenly twisted violently and emitted a high-pitched, nerve-wracking scream that shook me to my very core. Without warning, it detached from the nest and effortlessly jumped from the tree, its bony figure dropping more than 200 feet in a stomach-churning descent. We hurried towards the crash site, partially anticipating the discovery of a lifeless figure after that dangerous fall. However, there were no visible signs of anything being there, except for a patch of disturbed ground, with leaves and debris scattered around like the aftermath of an explosion. That mysterious entity had disappeared completely, leaving no evidence behind. Back in August 2023, I found myself as a member of a search and rescue team in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We received a call in the evening regarding a family of 4 who had embarked on a hike along one of the less frequented trails. Unfortunately, they did not make it back to their vehicle at the trailhead as intended by nightfall. Our team of 6 embarked from the ranger station, prepared with full packs containing water, food, and cold weather gear in case the search extended into the night. Upon our arrival, the trailhead was bustling with park rangers who were busy interviewing fellow hikers and making preparations with their ATVs for potential use in the remote wilderness. As we embarked on our journey, the night sky was devoid of any moonlight. Our headlamps pierced through the pitch-black darkness of the thick forest, illuminating only a narrow path ahead. We remained connected in a line, cautiously navigating the narrow path as it wound its way upwards. The only sounds we could hear were our heavy breaths and the gentle flow of the creek beside the trail. After a few miles, we reached a fork in the trail where it divided into 2 paths. Both paths appeared equally neglected and devoid of footprints. We carefully searched the area, using our lights to thoroughly examine every inch, in hopes of finding any clue that could lead us to the whereabouts of the family that went missing. That's when Jeremy, our team leader, suddenly became motionless and gestured for us to come closer. In the dirt, I noticed 4 sets of hiking boot prints, 2 adult and 2 child sizes. However, the prints did not veer off in either direction of the forked trail. The family seemed to disappear into thin air as they suddenly came to a halt in the middle of the junction. I carefully directed my light towards the dense vegetation flanking the trail, yet there were no signs of disturbed branches or crushed foliage that would suggest any departure from the designated path. The moist earth along the trail remained untouched. I couldn't understand it at all. Then we all heard something that made us shiver, the distinct sound of a child's laughter resonating through the trees. However, the laughter had a haunting, derisive tone that lacked any sense of joy. We spread out, carefully searching the surroundings with our flashlights. Yet there was no trace of the family that had gone missing or any other hikers in the vicinity. The sound of laughter echoed through the air, its source remaining elusive as it danced from one direction to another, teasingly out of reach. However, it was unmistakable, the sound of a young child giggling with a high pitch. As a fellow parent, I understand the joy of hearing a child's laughter. This was not right. Unusual. Jeremy decided to maintain our current position instead of moving forward without a clear plan. We established a perimeter at the trail junction and settled in, anticipating the break of dawn. The nature of the sounds remained uncertain. Were they a cry for help or a sign of something more ominous unfolding? As the first rays of sunlight gently peeked through the foliage, any evidence of the footprints had mysteriously disappeared, as if they had never been there at all. We were unable to locate any trace of the missing family, and the unexplained sound of a child's laughter that we all heard remains a mystery. Even now, it stands out as one of the most troubling and perplexing incidents in my search and rescue career. Before I dive into these intriguing tales, there's something important I want to share with you. Search and rescue can be quite challenging and far from idyllic. Often, it feels like a frantic race against time, braving the forces of nature in a desperate search to locate someone before it's too late. Years have passed, yet this particular memory lingers in my mind. One evening, we received a call that caught us off guard. Lost in the midst of a raging blizzard, a snowboarder in his early 20s found himself separated from his companions. After tirelessly scouring for hours, there was no trace to be found. The wind was absolutely deafening, with visibility reduced to just a few feet and the temperature plummeting to dangerous levels. As the hours ticked by, hope began to fade away. I was overcome with fatigue, but surrendering was out of the question. It was a moment frozen in time, a glimmer of light, barely visible yet undeniably present amidst the swirling snow. There was this strange sound emanating from a dense cluster of pines, just a few hundred yards away from the search path. So, you're looking to gain some knowledge on survival instincts in search and rescue. There's something intriguing about those mysterious lights that appear in the mountains. They could be the result of a lone hiker with a headlamp, or perhaps even a peculiar recluse with an extensive collection of flashlights. There was something unique about this particular experience. As we made our way towards the light, there was an air of anticipation among the team, their movements filled with a sense of urgency. As we approached, the sensation grew stronger and stronger. There was an undeniable sense of electricity in the air, as if something otherworldly was at play. Emerging from the dense thicket of pines, we were suddenly confronted with a scene that left us utterly perplexed. In the midst of the towering trees, there lay a serene clearing, illuminated by a gentle, otherworldly light. There, beneath a towering spruce tree weighed down by a blanket of snow, stood the snowboarder who had gone missing. Surprisingly, he remained unconscious, yet miraculously alive. The pulsating light seemed to respond unpredictably to our mere presence. As we approached the boy, the glow grew stronger and then suddenly disappeared. With a sense of urgency, we quickly wrapped him in layers of clothing and hurriedly returned to our base camp, an eerie stillness lingering in the atmosphere behind us. Great news. The doctors have confirmed that the boy is on track for a complete recovery. With no recollection of the luminosity, he found himself awakening in a state of confusion beneath the tree. Despite extensive search efforts, no unusual findings were discovered in the area. Did anyone else see that light during the blizzard? As a search and rescue team, we've encountered countless enigmas. But this particular case continues to baffle us. Is this some kind of bizarre weather event? Anyone know how to locate a beacon that's transmitting on an unusual frequency? Could there be something beyond what meets the eye? There's this one case that still gives me chills. It all started with a seemingly ordinary lost hiker call on the Appalachian Trail. There was a woman, a seasoned solo trekker, who had somehow managed to miss her check-in point by a whole day. The weather was clear, yet the thick foliage and intricate switchbacks of the trail turned search efforts into a perplexing ordeal. We spent endless days and nights searching the ridges, desperately calling out her name, only to be met with the haunting cry of a hawk in the distance. On the fourth day, our canine unit detected a faint scent near a perilous waterfall. Descending felt like a heart-stopping adventure, navigating treacherous rock faces and tangled roots. After much searching, we stumbled upon her, hidden beneath a small rock overhang. The woman was in an extremely critical condition, suffering from severe hypothermia and experiencing delirium. What's even more mind-boggling is, next to her sat a homemade basket brimming with juicy, flawlessly ripe blueberries. Surprisingly, there was a noticeable absence of blueberry bushes in that particular area, stretching for quite a distance. The woman couldn't recall anything about the basket or any encounter with another individual. Intrepid search parties combed the area, only to come across the typical inhabitants of the woods. Could her condition have triggered a hallucination? An enigmatic recluse thriving in seclusion? There remains an unsolved enigma surrounding the peculiar presence of those misplaced berries. Let me tell you about this wild experience we had when we were called to help with a crashed aircraft in the Alaskan wilderness. There was a wreckage of a small private plane scattered across a frozen lake. In a truly astonishing turn of events, the pilot miraculously emerged alive, still securely fastened in his severely damaged seat. While getting ready to evacuate him, I couldn't help but notice a peculiar symbol carved into the side of the plane, a mesmerizing vortex with a piercing eye at its core. The pilot, a seasoned and rugged individual, insisted that he had no information regarding the symbol. The individual adamantly claimed to have no prior knowledge or recollection of encountering it. After returning to base camp, I diligently searched through aviation databases in hopes of finding any mention of the symbol. There is a complete absence of any content or information. It seemed to materialize out of nowhere, adding to the ever-growing collection of mysteries in the realm of search and rescue. There was this mind-boggling rescue mission where a group of spelunkers found themselves trapped in a complex system of limestone caves in Nevada. A frantic call was received, filled with distorted voices describing tunnels that seemed to be constantly changing and an eerie, suffocating silence. Descending down the entrance shaft, the air was heavy with the scent of moist soil and a subtle hint of metal. The cave walls, typically adorned with shimmering crystals, were curiously devoid of any decoration. Time seemed to stretch on endlessly as we cautiously navigated through narrow corridors, delving further into the unknown. The silence that the spelunkers described was truly remarkable. There was no sound of dripping water or skittering insects, only an eerie silence that seemed to weigh heavily on your eardrums. Suddenly, a mysterious blur caught my attention from afar. A mysterious figure swiftly disappeared into the depths of the cave system. With our hearts pounding and a surge of excitement, we pursued it relentlessly, only to have it disappear into the abyss. At long last, we stumbled upon the stranded team, huddled together deep within an uncharted cavern. They seemed a bit confused, with their headlamps flashing unpredictably. According to them, the tunnels mysteriously shifted, preventing their getaway. Geological surveys have unequivocally confirmed that their location is utterly baffling, a complete dead end, contradicting all known maps. We successfully rescued them, and thankfully, they emerged from the situation unscathed, although understandably shaken. After conducting a thorough remapping of the caves, it became evident that the passage they had previously described was nowhere to be found, described as an anomaly by the geologists. Still haunted by the eerie encounter with that elusive darkness and the ghostly figure that guided us, it serves as a bone-chilling reminder of the inexplicable. Remember that strange incident in the Atacama Desert? A research team investigating ancient petroglyphs mysteriously disappeared without leaving any clues behind. Amidst their deserted camp, a solitary symbol etched into the rugged rock face stands as the sole enigmatic clue. Under the blazing sun, we combed through the barren terrain, the stillness interrupted only by the whisper of the sand carried by the wind. The passage of time became a hazy blur as optimism faded with each new day. Suddenly, a mysterious sight appeared on the horizon, a gleaming metallic dome brilliantly reflecting the intense sunlight. As we got closer, the dome, with its flawless surface, there seemed to be no way in and no trace of the researchers who had gone missing. There's something about that eerie dome standing alone in the middle of the desert that sends shivers down your spine. It serves as a haunting symbol that some enigmas are destined to remain unsolved. Late one night, a distress call was received from a research vessel that found itself trapped in an unexpected electrical storm near the coast of Bermuda. The storm in that region was pretty typical, nothing out of the ordinary. However, the distress signal painted a mind-boggling picture. A cutting-edge oceanographic vessel was getting pummeled by lightning bolts that defied all logic, shooting up from the water towards the heavens. As the sun began to rise, we arrived at the designated location. The sky was a mesmerizing shade of purple, and there was a distinct electric scent in the air. The research vessel, the Prometheus, appeared severely damaged, with its hull burnt and emitting smoke. As we neared our destination, the radio suddenly came to life, emitting a tense and frantic message. Witnesses claimed to have witnessed an otherworldly spectacle, luminous orbs pulsating in the depths, accompanied by an eerie, unexplainable hum. As soon as we stepped onto the deck, any doubts the rescue team had were instantly dispelled. The instruments had completely malfunctioned, leaving the crew in a state of panic as they huddled together, their expressions filled with sheer terror. Suddenly, an eerie sound reverberated from the depths, accompanied by a dazzling burst of light that burst forth from the water next to the ship. Emerging from the depths, a massive serpentine being raised its head, its iridescent scales glowing with an ethereal light. The deck was thrown into a state of panic, with everyone caught off guard. However, in a blink of an eye, the mysterious creature disappeared, leaving behind a lingering smell of sulfur and the crew in a state of terror. We hurriedly evacuated Prometheus, haunted by the unforgettable image of that colossal creature. After a few days, scientists and cryptozoologists found themselves engaged in a heated debate over the sighting. While some skeptics dismissed it as a mere mass hallucination, there were others who firmly believed that we had come face to face with a mysterious deep-sea predator that had never been encountered before. Elusive as ever, the truth continued to evade us. So, there was this one time when a distress beacon caught our attention and guided us to an eerie sight, an abandoned oil tanker just floating aimlessly in the vast expanse of the North Atlantic. Upon boarding the vessel, the team was met with an unsettling silence. No trace of the crew, no indications of any kind of altercation. We came across a peculiar sight on the bridge window, a solitary symbol, meticulously hand-drawn. The data recorders contained a bone-chilling audio log capturing the crew's last moments. The recording unveiled a crescendo of frantic cries, abruptly followed by an eerie silence, interrupted only by an inexplicable, piercing sound. What could be the cause? It remains a mystery. There is an abundance of peculiar cases that can be found within the extensive archives of search and rescue. We are the ones who are always there when the strange and unexplainable occur, ready to document and share our experiences. All right, folks, here's the final set of stories I've got for you before I call it a night. These are the ones that truly baffle the mind, the enigmas that leave me pondering late into the night. So, picture this. High up in the majestic Himalayas, something truly extraordinary occurred. A group of seasoned mountaineers mysteriously disappeared near the summit of K2, the second highest mountain on Earth, known for its treacherous landscape. The weather was absolutely perfect, with clear skies and no sign of any obstacles. The climbing route was well established and ready to be conquered. No traces of a struggle, no signs of equipment failure, and no logical explanation for their sudden disappearance were discovered by search parties. Stumbled upon an eerie sight today, an abandoned campsite, with all the supplies left behind, as if the people who were there just disappeared without a trace. Speculations varied from a mysterious avalanche that vanished without a trace to a possible run-in with a legendary beast rumored to wander those mountainous regions, the Yeti. The mysterious disappearance of those individuals remains an unsolved enigma, forever entwined with the chilling grip of the mountain. Once upon a time, a mysterious distress call lured us to a secluded cabin nestled in the heart of the Alaskan wilderness. A caller, living off the grid as a trapper, shared an intriguing account of mesmerizing lights that gracefully danced across the night sky, accompanied by mysterious low thrumming sounds that seemed to resonate deep within his very being. Upon arriving at the cabin, we discovered that the trapper had mysteriously vanished. No signs of a struggle and no tracks leading away. It's as if whatever happened here vanished without a trace. There's a pot of stew left untouched, gently simmering on the stove. Next to it lies an open journal, its pages filled with increasingly erratic scribblings. The author recounts their strange encounters with mysterious lights and an incessant hum. For weeks on end, search parties tirelessly combed the area, only to be met with an eerie silence that seemed to permeate the frozen north. These are the types of cases that leave a lasting impression, those that blur the boundary between what is real and something different. It's truly mind-boggling how our world is filled with endless enigmas and inexplicable phenomena. No matter how sophisticated our search and rescue methods become, there are still those eerie occurrences that defy all rational
question
explanations.
to you all is, what do you think is happening out there in our national forests and national parks? Clearly, the supernatural and the strange simply knows no bounds. And so, since you made it this far, I want you to all comment down below on this video, uncovering the strange, so that way I know who made it to the end of the episode. And if you guys enjoy stories like this where we dive into eyewitness accounts first and second hand of the strange and unexplained and paranormal, and not just our national forests and national parks, but by park rangers, hikers, hunters, search and rescue personnel, all of it, then you need to go ahead and slap that like and subscribe button for more content just like this. I will see you guys all in the next episode.